Hi, I'm Richard Ramos, author and founder of Parents on a Mission. And so today we're going to complete the video series that I've been doing to introduce you to a new product I've created for you. And I've been wanting to just give you a taste of some of the information that I put together for you. And today we're going to deal with a real important subject. I had to think about, how should I end this? What could I give you that would I think just again show the quality of the information that I'm presenting to you. And so I want to talk today about reconciliation and earning respect for parent authority. Like I think I mentioned in the last teaching the importance, or probably in both teachings, how important parent authority is when it comes to preventing children from joining gangs and other negative lifestyles. Okay, so I hope if you don't have a pen and paper, you might want to get some to take some notes, because this information is I think it's really going to speak to you, especially if you have older kids and teenagers who might be giving you a hard time. Okay, so let me walk you through these principles before we talk about some other aspect of dealing with rebellious youth. So the first principle that we teach is that relationship is more important than being right. Okay, when it comes to earning respect for our authority, because that's what it's about, sometimes we can get stuck on, well, who's right? I'm right, and the parent, I'm right, or the kids, I'm right. Well, when you're trying to build relationship in any work setting, in marriage, it's not always about who's right. Okay, so that's the principle. I want the relationship. I'm trying to earn something, and in this case we're talking about earning respect rather than demanding it, earning it, for respect for my authority. Okay, so what happens is that we have negative confrontations, and what we're teaching is that negative confrontations must be followed by parent-initiated reconciliation. Okay, parent-initiated reconciliation. In other words, we're not waiting for the child to come to us. There's been this confrontation. Usually we had an argument, and sometimes that argument can get real nasty. It can get real ugly. Okay, you all know what I'm talking about. And so, if the kid comes back to us and apologizes, well, that's great. That's wonderful. That's half the battle. But we're not going to wait for that. Okay, when there's been this ugly confrontation over homework or coming home late or not cleaning up the way they were told to, not doing their chores, or, usually it's 2 or 3 things that are ongoing, then we just kind of blow up and we get mad, or we jump to conclusions. Whatever it is, we're going to initiate the reconciliation. We're not going to worry about who's right or wrong, because we can deal with that later. We want the relationship. Now, how do I know when I need to reconcile? Is because I'm not feeling good about what happened. Okay, so I'm going to exercise the principle of humility. Okay, that's what this is. If I'm going to get the relationship that I want to earn the respect for my authority, it's going to be based on my ability to humble myself and approach my child and start the process of reconciliation. Okay? So secondly, another thing to do is to admit when you are wrong and apologize. I've had so many young people tell me this over and over and over again. As I've mentioned before, I used to be an at-risk counselor in both the junior high and the high school. I used to have kids sitting outside my door in a line. I used to have a line outside my door, kids sitting there waiting, to talk to me. And parents, not parents, teachers and administrators would get upset and they'd say, Richard, Mr. Ramos, these kids need to be in class. And I'd say, I know, what do you want me to do? And they're sitting out here to talk to me for a reason. And a lot of things happened in those times, but one of the things I remember is so many of those kids told me that one thing that stuck in my mind, because I was a parent at the time, and I had teenagers at home. And they said, my dad, my mom, my step-parent, they never admit when they're wrong. They never say they're sorry. Big mistake. Okay, what's the subject? I want my authority to be respected. I have to earn that. And one of the best ways to earn that, especially for people in authority, principals, police, teachers, is when we can just admit, politicians, when we can just admit that we're wrong and then just say, I'm sorry, goes a long way in earning respect for our authority, okay? Now, how do I know when I should do this? Is I need to listen to my conscience, okay? And in listening to my conscience, that's the principle of personal growth, okay, which is one of the main pillars and principles of Parents on a Mission that we teach parents, that we have to emotionally grow, that we have to continually grow in our emotional intelligence, our maturity. That's what we're doing here. We're exercising this personal growth, this ongoing process by listening to our conscience. We're not trying to drown it out. We're listening, and inside we know that that confrontation we had, the way we handled it, the way we said it, maybe not what we said, but the way we said it or the way we did it or handled it, we know inside wasn't right. And by listening to my conscience, then I can go back, admit I was wrong, and apologize. Maybe not wrong in what I said. I found myself many times saying, I meant what I said, but the way I said it was wrong. I'm sorry. That's how it works. Okay? And then third is be fair, flexible, and firm. Okay? This is knowing how to choose the right battlefield, Mom and Dad. We have to know how to choose the right battlefield. Otherwise, you're going to be a casualty on the wrong battlefield, especially if you're dealing with teenagers or kids that are rebellious and giving you a hard time at home. And if you don't understand this principle of choosing the right battlefield, there are so many battlefields. I mean, there's so many landmines that we can step on. We're going to end up just becoming exhausted, a casualty on the emotional and psychological warfare that's going on. So we have to know which battlefield I'm willing to fight on. I'm willing to, quote unquote, die on. Which one is that? Okay? And so we have to know what to choke on and what to swallow. You ever heard that saying? You're choking on the ant, but you're swallowing the camel. I mean, a good example of that, and this may not be a good something you agree with, but let's say, for example, a dad is getting all over the case of his daughter who's wearing makeup for the first time. So, the first time he sees her, and boy, he's just all over her and calling her name, telling her she looks like a prostitute, and just all kinds of ugly thing, and, get up there and take all that makeup off. Well, she goes and does that, but about an hour, 15, 20 minutes, whatever later, he's sitting there reading the paper or watching TV, and that same daughter begins to mouth off to the mother, and he just sits there and doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything. And as a matter of fact, that's an ongoing thing. See, for me, that's a dad who's swallowing the ant of, the makeup, because there's a different way to handle a young girl who wants to wear makeup like everybody else at school. But swallowing this camel and choking on this ant issue, but the big issue of disrespect and talking back to the mother, to the wife, and you're swallowing that. So that's what I mean by we have to know what to choke on and what to swallow. And this is called the principle of priorities and pettiness. Okay? As parents, if we're petty, making a big deal about every single thing, then we're gonna be on every battlefield. See, but if I want to be fair, if I want to be flexible, if I want to be firm, and the reason I do this is because I want them to respect my authority. They say, you know, my dad, he knows when to put his foot down. He knows when to be firm. He also knows when to be flexible about things because he knows the difference between choking on an ant and swallowing a camel. He's fair. That brings respect for your authority. So I have to know what are my priorities, okay, and make sure that I'm not being petty, okay. And so when I know my priorities, then I can be firm. I can stand on that. For example, like I said, I'm not going to allow my kids to talk back to me or to their mother. That's something I'm going to stand firm on. That's not something I'm going to be flexible about, okay? So that's what I mean by earning our respect for authority. Okay, so now, what about rebellious kids already in a gang or other negative lifestyles? Now here, I really want to get the attention, especially if you're watching this and you are in this exact situation, because this happens all the time when we're teaching Parents on a Mission. Usually our target group are parents of young children, because we're talking about prevention, not intervention. This is intervention. When you have a rebellious teenager who you've already made mistakes with, they don't respect you, and they're doing whatever they want, that's intervention. We need to intervene into the life of that child. Okay, so the question always comes up, you know, Richard, this is great information for my younger kids, but I have older kids too. What about them? Because I've already made mistakes and they're already doing their thing. They're in a gang, they're doing this, they're doing that. So what do I do? So I faced this situation so many times, you know, and I've sat there on that couch with that crying parent, with that worried parent. I've sat with that parent across my desk and then get up and have to go over there to where they're at, because I want them to see that I care about what they're telling me. They're breaking down. What do I do? They're looking for help. So I had to really think through, how can I give you something concrete, something real, something that's doable? So that's what I want to talk about and really get into this thing about reconciliation, because to me that is the answer. In the short answer of what do I do about rebellious youth, it's the principle of reconciliation. If we can grow as parents to exercise this principle, okay? So I ask parents to decide to enroll in the Advanced Mastery of Reconciliation. That's what it's going to take. I mean, this is not easy. These are simple principles that I'm going to share. Simple to say, simple to know. Not always simple to practice and to do. But if you do these things, if you have a youth, and if you'll do these things that I'm going to talk about now, you have a real good chance that you're going to have reconciliation. You're going to come back together and have the kind of father-son, father-daughter, mother-son, mother-daughter relationship that you want. But it's about you, Mom and Dad. It's about me. It's us. We've got to grow. We've got to allow ourselves to challenge ourselves emotionally and come to the place where we can exercise these principles, okay? So here we go. First lesson in this School of Mastery of Reconciliation is to tearfully accept their choices and then trust the hard road of reconciliation, because that's what's happened. And I say tearfully because that's exactly what it is. It's hard. But see, sometimes parents don't want to let go. And that's where kids got you. See, they know that they can continue to disrespect you and not do what you say and take advantage of you and really abuse you emotionally, because they know that you're always going to be there for them to clean up after them. And this is why we're telling parents you have to tearfully accept their choices. Those are the wrong choices, of course. These are choices that they're making that are destructive, that are defiant, that are taking them down the wrong road. And so tearfully, with a broken heart, at some point you just have to say, you know what? I'm done. You're on your own now. I'm not going to come to the jail and bail you out. I'm not going to go to the principal and lie again. I'm not going to call your boss and tell him you're sick again. I'm not going to do it. And it's hard. But that's what it takes. And what we're doing is we're really trusting the hard road that they've chosen to bring them back to their senses. But you have to let them go down that road and hopefully allow it to do its work. Maybe they'll end up in jail, but that might be the best place for them. Maybe they'll end up in prison, which is, jail and prison is always, that's a whole other story. It's a tough place to be, but maybe that'll save them from themselves. You know, maybe they'll join the military. You know, maybe they'll meet somebody. It's a tough road they've chosen, but usually those tough things in life, they come to a place where they just say, man, you know, what am I doing? What am I doing out here? I can go home. And that's the thing we want them to say. We want them to be able to say, I could go home. See, a lot of kids out there today can't say that because the parents are not ready for this reconciliation. But that's what we want. So that when they make the decision to come home, we're ready. We're ready for them. Now to do that, we have to, lesson number 2 is that we have to know the difference between forgiveness and trust. See, this will help you because a lot of people, this happens too with wives and abusive husbands or vice versa, but this will help because see, one of the reasons we have a hard time forgiving and letting go of things that have happened to us when we've been hurt or when we've been burned and lied to and, you know, taken advantage of. We feel that we don't want to forgive them because we're letting them get away with something. But you're letting them get away with it. If you hang on to unforgiveness, whatever it is they did is still hurting you. So they are getting away with it in that sense. See, but by forgiving them, you're not letting them get away with anything. And you're taking care of yourself. Because now their conscience is bothering them. Now the burden is on them. I've forgiven you. I let it go. See? But remember this principle. Forgiveness is always free. Trust is always earned. And that's what you need to remember. So now we're going to give them an opportunity to earn our trust, but they have to earn it. So it looks something like this. Dad, I'm sorry. You know, forgive me. Can I come back home? And so I say, son, I've already forgiven you. I accept your apology, and you can come back home based on one condition. Are you going to abide by the rules? See, and that's where you start allowing them to earn the trust. Because see, they may have, when kids, you know, make decisions, we have to hold them to those decisions. Or what I always tell parents, you know, you never want to throw your kids out. Because if you throw your kids out, now you're going to feel bad about that. And then they're going to be out there telling everybody, oh, my mom and dad threw me out of the house. No, you don't want to ever throw them out of the house. You make them decide whether or not they want to stay there or leave. For example, we kept telling you have to be home by midnight, and on and on and on and on. It's a battle. They come home at 3 o'clock in the morning, or they don't come home at all, and you've had it. And so it's not get out of here. It's look, is midnight a reasonable time for us to be asking to come home? Yeah. And haven't I given you several chances? Yeah. Didn't I warn you that if this happened again, we weren't going to put up? Yeah. Okay, so decide. Make a choice. Do you want to stay here or not? See, and if they don't come home again, see, they've made a decision, and now you enforce that decision. Okay? So that's, very important. Because now, when they come to themselves, and you've already forgiven them, and they want to be forgiven, no problem. But when they come home, let's say they've been home a week, and then they say, Dad, can I borrow the car? Well, no, you can't. Well, why not? Because, son, you've only been home a week, and you have to earn that. You haven't earned my trust yet. I'm not sure I can trust you to come home when I say to come home and to take care of the car. Or let's say they want money or whatever it is, and you say no. That's not time for that yet. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing well. You haven't been talking back to your mom. You've been coming home on time. Let's see how it goes. And you're giving them that opportunity to earn your trust. And it may be that they don't even come home. But the point is, you want to reconcile. Maybe they'll move in with a relative, maybe they move in with their boyfriend or their girlfriend, and, they don't come back home. But you still want to have that reconciliation so you can restore that relationship. Okay? And so those are probably for some of the situations I'm describing might be for teenagers who are a little bit older. But you take it as it is for you in your home. Maybe you're dealing with a 13-year-old, 14, 15, kids who are still in junior high or high school, and they're just giving you a hard time. But if you follow these principles that I'm talking about, if you're willing to, tearfully accept their choices and trust that hard road of reconciliation, and then understand the difference between forgiving them but allowing them to earn your trust and holding them to that, that's going to bring the reconciliation and relationship that we want. Okay, and then finally, the third lesson for parents in this is that it's going to take persistence, patience, and prayer. As I told you at the beginning, this isn't easy. And you're going to have to be persistent. It's a tough road, but it's their choice. They decided to get on that road. And we must persist and then be patient. How long is it going to take? I don't know. That I can't guarantee. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, and yes, sometimes years. But it's worth being patient for. Persist, be patient, and then of course pray. Pray that nothing during that time when they're out there, during this time of rebellious and defiance, pray that nothing bad happens to them. Because that's the hard part. If something bad were to happen, then, we're, of course, going to feel bad. But we know we didn't throw them out. They made that choice. And so we pray that, they'll come to themselves. That if anything does happen, it's not, irreversible like death. But it's something that brings them to their senses. Okay? Now, in ending, I want to read this story to you. In March, we threw our son out of the house on his 18th birthday. We had spent 6 years watching him self-destruct. He put in a year at college majoring in poker, tuition $6,200, and this obviously years ago. We finally decided he had a right to ruin his life if he wanted to, but we didn't have to support him while he did. We faced his anger and abusiveness when we refused to give him more money while he stayed with friends. We even refused to sign the forms when he wanted to apply for food stamps and welfare. We were once called from a hospital 30 miles away. Someone had slipped a hallucinogen in his coffee. It frightened us to death, but we refused to go see him. Instead, we told the friend who phoned that he had chosen a lifestyle that was foolish and dangerous, and we weren't going to run to him every time he got into trouble anymore. God was with us. It took only 6 months of panhandling and sleeping on subways before our son came to his senses. See, there's hope. After a few weeks of reflection on the last half year of his life, during which everything he owned had been stolen several times, the loss of his pride and the absence of all security, our son decided he wanted no more of that kind of life. All this happened 2.5 years ago. He joined the military and really loves the discipline and security. And today he's a fine, happy, productive man who feels good about himself. And I am thanking God we had the courage to let him go. See, I think that's a great story. And it's a true story, and it can be true for you. So listen, this is what I'm offering you. If you've enjoyed this teaching, Parents on a Mission teaching, how to prevent your children from joining any negative lifestyle, I want to offer this 6 CD set to you. And as you can see there, I hope you can see that. There's 6 CDs in here. And some of the content, let me just read some of the stuff that's in here. Why you, Mom and Dad, are the key factor to safe communities. The lost secret of cultivating child respect and obedience. Some of what I've taught you already, but there's more in these CDs. How children become contributing citizens in their community. That's something I didn't cover, but a very important teaching. The secret weapon of protection hidden in every home, and so much more. Now, I'm offering this to you for only $25. I mean, $25. I must be out of my mind offering 6 CDs for $25. I mean, if you go to the store, any of you that go to bookstores, you go find an album with 6 CDs, and you know this is a good deal. It's a good price. And I'm offering it to you because I want to help you. Okay, so you can just click on the link there in the email that I sent you, and you can make the purchase and have these CDs. You can listen to them, you know, in your car, on the way home, at your own leisure. Like I said, there's more on here than I was able to give you in these 3 videos, and I hope that this will be helpful to you. Now, I also have an incentive for you. For the first 25 people who click on that link and buy this 6 CD set, I'm going to throw in a free copy of my book, Gang Prevention in Schools, The Ultimate Parent and Teacher Guide on How to Prevent Your Children from Joining Gangs. So there's information in here that is not in here, but they go hand in glove, they go together, great information, and so I hope that you will take advantage of this special offer. Click on the link there and get your copy, and we will send this stuff right to you, okay? So listen, that's all I got. I hope these 3 videos have been helpful to you. I hope that this teaching here that I've given you on how to deal with rebellious youth, how to earn respect for your authority, is stuff that you'll be able to take to heart and practice. And if you practice these principles, I promise you they're going to work. Oh, and one more thing. If you buy this material and you listen to these CDs and you read that book and you say, you know what, Richard, this stuff's not worth $25, then you send it back to me and I'll send you back your money. No questions asked. It's that simple. Okay? Listen, I'm Richard Ramos, author and founder of Parents on a Mission. I really appreciate your time, and I'll see you again real soon.